The episode begins where the last one left off, in complete absurdity. With the destruction wrought by the volcano changing the landscape, the viewer can be forgiven for falling off their chair in discovering that most buildings are intact, and of course, characters unscathed. Galadriel, ever of course the central point of leadership and strength, finds the surviving villagers and leads them away. The Harfoots seem even more dependent on what is clearly an insert of Gandalf. Indeed, he saves Nori when a tree collapses on her, and inexplicably, the tree sprouts and blossoms. All the while, they're being shadowed by a sinister group of pale beings, who seem to find it important to destroy the Harfoots' wagons and resources. Why is this? It is never made apparent. The Harfoots are clearly weaker, and no threat to this group, so it seems yet another contrivance by the writers. What's just as baffling is that Nori opts to follow them. This is after it has been made plain after multiple episodes that these people are shy, avoid conflict, and avoid danger to the extent of abandoning their own. Meanwhile, we're back with the dwarves, and Elrond is pleading with them to have access to the newly discovered Mithril. As explained with Episode 5's review, the elves seem to think that Mithril will somehow bathe the elves with the light of Valinor again. And, as explained there, that is preposterous. Furthermore, Celebrimbor was the one who would later go on to forge rings. He had a passion for crafting, and it was this offshoot of Aule that helped establish the connection with the dwarves. Remember, it was Celebrimbor who was known for fostering that close friendship with the dwarves, to the extent that it led to a golden age, where that friendship was engraved on the Hollin Gate itself, in Ithilden, derived from Mithril and perfected by the Gwaith I Myrdain. In the Unfinished Tales, Celebrimbor had an almost dwarvish obsession with crafts, and he soon became the chief artificer of Eregion, entering into a close relationship with the dwarves of Khazad-dûm, among whom his greatest friend was Narvi. This show has now committed itself into ruining both the characters of Celebrimbor and Elrond, and is now of course unable to reverse the direction it took. The next bizarre course of action has Disa trying to convince Durin that Mithril should be mined by the dwarves themselves. Strangely, the substance is shown to have an organic, magical quality to it, when it heals some plant material. I would imagine this is to insert justification to the restoring the light of the Eldar narrative that the show wishes to pursue. Tolkien never attributes magic to Mithril, though it does have certain incredible qualities that make it highly prized. What the show fails to consider is that Mithril could be found in Númenor as well. In the Unfinished Tales, for that metal was found in Númenor, in the line of Elros Ta Telemaetie, the 15th ruler of Númenor, is said to have been called so, i.e. silver-handed, because of his love of silver, and he bade his servants to seek ever for Mithril. But Gandalf said that Mithril was found in Moria alone in the world. This is not a contradiction of what Gandalf later says of Mithril when journeying in Moria, that Mithril was to be found only there. Because Númenor was destroyed, there was no other source available aside from Moria. Elrond and Durin go off to mine, and to me the scene is there as a device to further their contrived friendship. Remember, it is Celebrimbor who makes the overtures and efforts to befriend the dwarves, so this diminishes and demeans his established qualities and lore. Meanwhile, King Durin tosses the leaf that was revitalized by Mithril through a shaft, where it slowly descends to the depths of Khazad-dûm and awakens a Balrog, Durin's bane. Let us analyze just how the show gets everything about this wrong. It was in the reign of Durin VI that the Balrog was awoken, not Durin III. Furthermore, in the appendices, Tolkien makes it clear that the Balrog wrought terror after being awakened by the dwarves who mined too deep. In the appendices, it came to pass that in the middle of the Third Age, Durin was again its king, being the sixth of that name. The power of Sauron, servant of Morgoth, was then again growing in the world, though the shadow in the forest that looked towards Moria was not yet known for what it was. All evil things were stirring. The dwarves delved deep at that time, seeking beneath Barazinbar for mithril, the metal beyond price that was becoming yearly ever harder to win. Thus they roused from sleep a thing of terror that, flying from Thangorodrim, had lain hidden at the foundations of the earth since the coming of the host of the west, a Balrog of Morgoth. Durin was slain by it, and the year after Nain the First, his son. And then the glory of Moria passed, and its people were destroyed or fled far away. Durin the Sixth's death at the hands of the Balrog occurred almost 200 years after the reign of Durin the Third. The show does not even seem to have a grasp of the material it has the rights to, that is, the appendices, when it confuses names, deeds, and points in time. As the show gets back to its mockery of heroic characters, namely that of Galadriel, and other poorly portrayed protagonists, we receive yet another butchered insert. Celeborn is apparently dead, after he went to war. The show would have you believe this ridiculous assertion. This commander of the northern armies would not be involved with a husband going to battle alone. Within the Fellowship of the Ring itself, for the Lord of the Galadrim is accounted the wisest of the elves of Middle-earth, and a giver of gifts beyond the power of kings. He has dwelt in the west since the days of dawn, and I have dwelt with him years uncounted. For ere the fall of Nargothrond or Gondolin, I passed over the mountains, and together through ages of the world we have fought the long defeat. Later on we find Miriel, who for some bizarre reason, Orodruin erupting is harmless, but becomes blinded by embers from a smouldering roof. Bronwyn decides to head to a former Númenórean colony called Peregiir. This, of course, will be the same harbour city of Gondor that endures through to the Third Age. Finally, the episode ends with Adar renaming the Southlands to Mordor. As discussed previously, it was Morgoth who created Mount Doom, and the region was already sparsely populated due to it being a hunting ground for Shelob. But on account of its already well-known nature, the land had long been called Mordor, Sindarin for Black Land.